Let me talk to you about Form 1120. I'm going to give you some basic information about where and how to fill out an 1120 form. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Studio Kiwi Show. How you doing today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. And if you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today, I just want to talk to you about Form 1120. Let me quickly get into the nitty-gritty here. What is Form 1120? So businesses taxed as C corporations must file their business tax return with IRS Form 1120. So think of Form 1120 as the C corporation equivalent to Personal Tax Form 1040. And unlike other business structures, companies taxed as C corporations pay a flat 21% corporate tax rate on taxable income. So taxable income really is the difference between a C corporation's income and its business tax deductions, losses, and credits. Remember, taxable income is different from the accounting income. So if your business is not taxed as a C corporation, it is considered a pass-through entity. So pass-through entities such as sole proprietorships and partnerships and even S corporations, they pay no entity level tax. And what they do is that they pass on their income tax liability to their owners. So there is no flat tax rate for other types of business income. So your tax rate is bracketed based on your income level, right? In the United States, we have a progressive tax system. So most pass-through entity types also file information returns to detail business earnings to the IRS, but it's not for tax-paying purposes. We just finished doing a show on Form 1065. You might want to double check that. And this is Form 1065 relates to partnerships and LLCs. Now, I'm showing you on the screen right now Form 1120. And Form 1120 has a reputation for being complicated. So identify a tax professional to help you file. So I'm showing it here. And who has to file Form 1120? There is a specific category of companies that needs to file Form 1120. So any organization taxed as a C corporation must file Form 1120. So if you registered your business as a C corporation or limited liability company, you might have to submit Form 1120. By default, LLCs are taxed like sole proprietorships or partnerships, depending on the number of owners. Now, if they waive pass-through taxation and elect C corporation taxation through Form 1132, then they are required to file Form 1120. If they meet the IRS requirements, businesses registered as C corporations can elect S corporation tax status by filing Form 2553. S corporations, which are a pass-through entity type, they file information return Form 1120S. So you have to file Form 1120 if your business is a C corporation that does not elect S corporation taxation, and if your business is an LLC that elects C corporation taxation. Now, what do you really need to file Form 1120? The thing here is that whether you're filing Form 1120 yourself or your accountant is taking care of it, let me give you a quick checklist of the information you should have on hand so you can complete and file the form. So you need to have your EIN, your employer identification number, the date you were incorporated, the last year's Form 1120 return, total assets held by your corporation, total income, gross receipts, cost of goods sold, dividends earned, interest earned, royalties earned, capital gains, and also a list of business deductions with supporting documents. Don't forget, very important. And the business tax credits you plan to apply for. We have devoted an entire show on the topic of business tax credits. So go ahead and check that show out. And you also need to have accurate year-end account balances, which you can gain from your accounting software. And how do you actually file tax form 1120 for your small business? First of all, I just want to say that you have the option to file form 1120 either online or by mail. Now, and I've said this in a lot of shows, in all our shows, because it is faster, easier, and cuts back on paperwork. We always recommend filing online using the IRS e-file service. In addition, some large C corporations reporting $10 million or more in assets are required to file on the internet, to file online. And here is how to get things going. So, number one, you want to build your tax team. Very important. You want to start the filing process by gathering your tax team, which should include a corporate tax professional and corporate tax filing software, right? And the software can be TurboTax, Tax Act, H&R Block, and so on and so forth. Your corporate tax professional can be a CPA, a certified public accountant, an EA, an enrolled agent. He or she could be a tax attorney. So someone you just want to hire someone who is well versed in the subtleties of corporate taxation. So owners of C corporations called shareholders are not considered self-employed, so they cannot use self-employment tax software, and they cannot file the Form SE, Schedule SE. So many common tax software companies like TurboTax have software options for C corporations. And one thing is that, and this is something we have always heard, Form 1120 is infamously long-winded. So you want to always engage a tax professional to help you complete Form 1120. You may be tempted to file Form 1120 by yourself for a small, uncomplicated C corporation. If that's what you want to do, folks, if that's what you want to do, make sure, please, that you have identified a corporate tax expert who's ready to answer questions and take over if needed. So after building your tax team, you want to fill out most of page 1 of Form 1120. So you can see it on the screen here. You have it on the screen. So this is called the face of Form 1120. So it gives you a glance. It gives the IRS a glance at your company's tax situation. So you can fill out much of this using information stored in your accounting software. So you'll have blanks for cost of goods sold, depreciation, gains and losses, tax credits, and all total lines. And number three, you want to fill out the required schedules. So you'll need to fill out the schedules when filing tax form 1120. So you have Schedule C. So C corporations, just like people, can buy stocks in different companies. And C corporations reports their annual dividend income from investments in other companies on 1120 Schedule C. Through the dividends received deduction, C corporations can write off a percentage of dividend income. So the deduction calculation depends on the amount of another corporation your company owns. And then you have Schedule J. Schedule J, here is where you calculate your C corporation's tax liability. So the section picks up on the tax calculation you started on the first page of Form 1120, which lists your deductions. And then you go to Schedule J to enter business tax credits and estimated tax payments to arrive at your tax liability. Line 2 entitled Income Tax is where you multiply your taxable income. I'm talking here about page 1, line 30, by the 21% federal corporate tax rate. Of course, the calculation is not always so simple, so you and your tax professional should check Form 1120 instructions for exceptions and further details. Remember though that tax credits are dollar-for-dollar reductions to your tax liability, and they are among the most effective ways to reduce your tax bill. And then you also have Schedule K. So Schedule K asks for more information about the C corporation's owners and holdings in other companies. So before that, you must enter your company's accounting basis, cash or accrual. Simple C corporations don't have much to fill out on Schedule K, but if your business has a stake in another corporation, it is again best to engage a tax professional to help you here. Then you have a Schedule L. This is your company's balance sheet for your books. So you have to open the balance sheet as of year end in your accounting software to fill out this section. And then you have schedules M1 and M2. So the thing here is that the IRS calculates some expenses like depreciation differently from how generally accepted accounting principles, US GAAP, require for non-tax financial reporting. So Schedule M1 and Schedule M2 explain to the IRS some differences between your financial statements for books and tax purposes. Schedule M1 and M2 are kind of complex. So again, call your tax professional to walk you through the process. And even in accounting, they have the Schedule M1, M2 sort of trigger tax deferred tax assets and deferred tax liabilities when it comes to financial accounting and reporting. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm still having a conversation with you about the IRS Form 1120, and I'm just explaining to you where and how to fill an 1120 form. And the step number 4: look for other required schedules. So depending on your business activities, you might have to attach additional forms or schedules to Form 1120. So there's some common attachments include Form 1125A, that's for businesses with cost of goods sold. Form 1125E to list officer compensation for corporations with gross receipt of $500,000 or more. Form 4797 for the sale of business property. And then you have a Form 4563 for depreciation and amortization. And Schedule D for capital gains and losses. And a corporate tax professional should be knowledgeable of other forms you are required to submit with Form 1120. So again, reach out to an EA, an enrolled agent, or a CPA to kind of help you here. And the fifth step here, step 5, return to page 1. So once you're done filling out the rest of Form 1120 and required attachments, you're ready to finish the first page. So return to the face of your tax return to fill in any blanks. And the next thing you need to do here, folks, is that once you're done with that, you got to review and file your return. So you're done. So after reviewing your return with your preparer, you can e-file Form 1120 using your tax software or have your tax preparer do it on your behalf. In either way, it's always good to reach out to a professional and do things electronically. When is Form 1120 due? A C corporation tax form due date depends on the fiscal year. And some C corporations use a calendar year while others start their year in July or October or September. So usually C corporations must file their Form 1120 by the 15th day of the 4th month after the end of its tax year, but not during a full moon. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding about the last part though, folks. So a calendar year tax-paying C corporation files its Form 1120 by April 15th. So there is an exception for C corporations with June 30th year ends. So they must file by September 15, only 3 months after the fiscal year ends. All right. So just kind of quickly, let me give you a few pro tips here. Please incorporate a tax prep team in your corporate tax return, hire a CPA, or use business tax software. All right. So let me quickly recap here. So corporation taxation, folks, is not really for the faint of heart. So make sure you're not filing your corporate business taxes without guidance. A professional tax preparer can also reduce your corporation's tax liability or even the probability of being audited. All right. So you want to have someone who has expertise, so he or she can help you identify and take all the important tax credits and deductions that you would otherwise have taken. Okay, so here's a recap of today's conversation. I spoke to you about that. I gave you an overview of Form 1120, told you who has to file Form 1120, what do you need to file Form 1120, how do you file Form 1120 for your small business. So build your team, fill out most of page 1, fill out the required schedules, look for other required schedules, return to page 1 and review and file your return, and also give you the due date for Form 1120. All right, folks. Thank you so much for your attention today. I really appreciate it. I will speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.